Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and I've got a crafting podcast for you today. It's been a really busy month, so I did not get a lot of finished objects this month, but I do have some fun stuff to show you and some fun things to talk about as we're heading into the holiday season. It'd be nice if I could get a full sentence out today without messing it up. We're definitely back in the swing of things at school. It feels more like real stuff is happening. I don't know if that's going to make sense to anybody, but we got through our first round of report cards and our first big school holiday celebration with Halloween. So it just kind of feels like we're settled in and really starting to tackle some of the bigger content and events, and I'm preparing for a book fair now. So it's just been a really busy month, and even though I feel like I've done a lot of crafting, it's been very sporadic and working on projects that I only get a little bit done at a time, so it doesn't feel like I'm getting that much done. I also am working on a lot of bigger projects at the moment, so it makes sense that I don't have any finished objects because they're all sweaters, and I do have a blanket in progress, but I haven't touched it for this month, so that one doesn't really count. But mostly working on sweaters has meant lower finished objects, despite a lot of crafting time. So that's been kind of interesting to navigate. Since I already brought up holidays, I'll go ahead and talk about what's behind me first. So behind me is my advent calendar, and if you watched my Vlogmas videos last year, you know that I got a scented candle advent calendar from Aldi and really loved it. Used all the candles. They were also great, little bathroom candles, to be honest. But it came with 25 little candles in glass jars, which meant that when it was done, I had this whole box thing with all the little drawers that was completely empty. So instead of throwing the box away, I held on to it for a while until I figured out what I wanted to do with it, and then I filled it with all of my sock weight yarn scraps. So in every single one of those little drawers is a colorful scrap from working on a pair of socks or just a thin weight yarn project, with the idea of putting them all together into, I'm actually going to be making a cowl this year with them. So I arranged them before I put them in, kind of in a loose color order, but since a lot of them were variegated yarns, it's not like a strict rainbow pattern, if you will. There's some neutrals in there. There's some very, very colorful things of yarn. So it was just kind of as best I could, sort of a fade color order. But I'm very excited to start that this year for Advent. I will go ahead and say I'm not going to do a traditional Vlogmas like I've done the last couple years. I just think with now working full time, that's just going to be too much for me to handle. So I'm hoping to do a short form version of Vlogmas where I just show the yarn I'm opening every day and adding it to the project. Additionally, there's also going to be whoa, that was a crazy cough. Additionally, I'm going to have a tutorial come out beforehand. Actually, it should be, I believe, next week's video when I'm recording this. I don't remember what order I was going to put videos in. Yeah, so it should be the final video that I post in November, which will be called the Scrap Vent Cowl. So that if you also have a bunch of yarn scraps in your stash and didn't feel like you could do a yarn advent calendar this year, that you can crochet along with me and make something out of all of your little left behind bits. So hopefully you'll join me on that. I have been really liking taking a break from doing all of the sock vlogs I was doing and doing more tutorials, even though those feel kind of like a pain to plan out. They actually end up taking me less total time than doing a vlog for a pair of socks. Although the Taylor Swift socks are not going away, I just took a break from them for a while, but you'll actually get one of those in December as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if I have time to finish filming it. I honestly, the pair of Taylor Swift socks that I currently have on the needles, I wouldn't say I'm working on them because they've sat dormant for a while, but I'm hoping I can take them with me for Thanksgiving because we're traveling for Thanksgiving this year, and finish them in the car. So it's going to be a weird vlog because it was started like in July or August and it will be finished in November and December, but that's just what worked out for that pair. That was a really long tangent, but point of that was I'm doing things for Advent / Vlogmas. It just won't look like it did in the past. It'll be more short form content, so I'll post it here on YouTube Shorts, hopefully, and also on my TikTok page, not channel, as well. So yeah, that's all of that. The other thing I wanted to show you today, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a haul or things I purchased, because I didn't purchase them, they were given to me. But I had some family friends who not too long ago, their grandparents passed away and they have finished clearing out their house. And I actually didn't know this about the friend's grandmother, but she was apparently a knitter and a crocheter, or at least was at one point in time. I don't have any memory of this person working on knit and crochet things, but I was actually gifted some of her knitting and crochet supplies, so I wanted to kind of go through it with you on camera, and just kind of think about the fact that things really haven't changed all that much. Most of this stuff looks like it's from like 2003 and earlier, as far as I can tell, so I thought it would be kind of fun to go through it together. I figured I'd start off with the 2 books that I was given. These, I believe, were the only books. Everything else is like notions and yarn. But the first one was an easy accessories book from Lion Brand, and it is all for fun fur yarn, which does feel very early 2000s. Most of these are pretty easy. It has simple knit stitches, makes things like the infamous fun fur scarf. There's actually a lot of scarves, which, you know, what else do you make with fun fur? There's a little tote bag, also feels very 2000s, with the fur trim. Oh, scrunchies. Very iconic. So I don't know how much I'll actually be using this book, but it is pretty funny to kind of look back and see what was popular at that time. The other one, I believe it's actually a magazine. It's just a hefty magazine. But this is the Knitters magazine from winter 2002. Got lots of patterns in there. And some of these, just in briefly looking through them, that's really funny. Oh, that definitely looks like my childhood right there. Not that I would have worn something quite like that, but I remember the like furry neon accessories were everywhere. The problem I usually find with books like this is that the sizes for garments don't go up high enough for someone who's my size. I typically wear a 1X to 2X. So usually if things go up to 1X, that's pretty generous for that time. If they happen to have a 2X, that's even better. But I generally can't fit into garments that are from pattern books in this era. Oh, we've got a very funky hat right here too. That one's interesting. That almost looks like a Christmas elf hat, just in weird colors. Okay, this is crazy looking. It's clearly a... Wow. I just don't have words for this one. I think it's supposed to look like the stoles that are like an actual fox, or like the full animal that, like, I don't even know what era that would have been, but it's like, why are there so many of them? They look like worm on a string, but wearable. Oh, that is interesting. I really wonder if anybody actually made that. These patterns are just very funny. And then at the front, there's some like articles and yarn reviews instead of patterns. So again, not sure I'll be making anything out of this, but it was funny just for that one pattern to look at. That was pretty hilarious. All right, there are 2 bags of stuff, so let's grab the first one. We've got the very vintage bag here, although I think this could actually be a cute bag as part of a Renaissance Fair costume. It's kind of giving me Hobbit basket vibes. We'll see. Oh, looks like there's another book in here. So we have a Reynolds Lopi book. It looks like it's for a specific brand of yarn, kind of Icelandic sweaters. Yeah, there's lots of charts in here. This looks pretty old. It says it's printed in Iceland. The pictures look pretty faded. I want to say this is like 90s looking. I'm trying to find a copyright date in here anywhere. Can't find one. Yeah, no copyright date, but looks 90s-ish, just based on the age of the photographs. But could be cool. There's some color work charts in there. Inside this bag we have acrylic yarn, number 1, in a brown, with a little bit of a cast-on edge. We have fun fur. I think there's going to be a theme here. We have more fun fur scraps. Pink acrylic. More pink acrylic. Neon green acrylic with some scraps attached and a little motif of some sort that was started. We have yellow acrylic plus a bunch of scraps that came out with it. More pink and some more acrylic scraps. This was quite the bundle in here. More acrylic scraps. So most of these I probably will not be using because the acrylic has gotten a little bit crusty over the years. If you've ever unearthed a really old bag of acrylic yarn, you know the feeling. And I'm going to have to pause for a second because my camera is about to run out of battery. Okay, now we're back. Camera's plugged in, so we shouldn't be worried about charge anymore. As I was saying, if you've ever gotten a donated bag of acrylic before, you know that acrylic gets a little funky with time. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure most of the yarn in here is not usable. But like I said, I have a feeling I could actually use the bag for a costume of some sort. Other bag I got is just a plastic bag. And in here, we've got some needles. So looks like a set of, and I don't know if these are sizes or in millimeters, but size 3 needles. It just has a 3 at the top. We have a set of 9. Oop, the 9 is the purple. 9 millimeter straight needles. We have another metal set in a 15. Again, it doesn't say size 15 or 15 millimeters. And then 6 millimeters / US size 10 in light blue. And oh, we've got a nice crochet hook, 6.5 millimeter. That's a size I use a lot, so I'll probably actually use it. We have a gold glittery yarn. We have fun fur. We have, what else is in here? Oh, we've got some ribbon yarn, also very early 2000s and 90s. Let's see if I can find the end of that. Oh, looks like the end of it was knitted into the beginnings of a project, so that's why it was kind of stuck in there. So, ribbon yarn, or ladder yarn as it's sometimes called. More fun fur. This is not fun fur exactly, but very similar in blue. More fun fur. I think the rest of this is pretty much all fun fur. We have some scraps in a bag. More fun fur. Blue fun fur. This is like Muppets in here. Fun fur scraps. And I believe the rest is also various fun fur scraps in there. So we'll just consider that all fun fur scrap yarn. The ladder yarn is interesting. I could see myself trying to make something with that. But fun fur has never been my favorite to work with, to be honest. So that might get used in a project, maybe not. Let me know if you want to see me try to make something with all that fun fur. While it would be funny to put it all in one project, I can't for the life of me think of what I would go about making with that. So anyway, that was all the vintage-ish crochet and knitting supplies that was in those bags. Last, I do have one finished object to show you. And other than that, I think all my projects are things you've seen already that haven't made a lot of progress, but I'll show you my one finished object and one project that I know I just started recently. Finished object is this pair of socks. These are going to be a Christmas gift for a family member. These were in a Yarn Bee hand-dyed yarn from Hobby Lobby, I think was what it was. I don't remember what the color name is, but it's this blue and white, kind of variegated. These socks ended up looking kind of tie-dye, which I thought was pretty cool. I also like that when you put them next to each other, the stripes sort of line up. That was not intentional. It just worked out that way, but it looks pretty cool. So I'm excited about these. I liked that in the white sections it has little like flecks of dark green and pink. So it kind of reminded me of sugar cookie sprinkles with navy blue. I also like that because of the striping pattern, the heels and the toes look like they're a totally different yarn, even though they're not. They just have narrower stripes because the stitch count was different at those points. But the lining up of the stripes is pretty funky. I guess it was the other way. Yeah, it was the other way. Although it kind of lined up that way too. Weird. This was a very interesting yarn to work with because it ended up being that about half of each row would be the blue and half of the row would be the white, but it sometimes didn't go all the way across and the stripes shifted around. So it was interesting to work with, but I hope the recipient of these enjoys them. And then the one project I know I started this month was with the Big Twist Supernova that I purchased last month and showed on this channel. And I started a shawl that I'm calling my geometry project because I didn't want to do just a traditional triangle shawl because this yarn has such narrow stripes. I wanted something that would still end up being bigger without the stripes kind of just getting lost. So I started with, this looks crazy on camera, I started with this triangle in the middle, and then I worked up a smaller panel and knitted it into the edge going this way and then decreased at the top. Then I did the same thing on this side going up. Now I'm going up on this side, and then the one I'm currently working on is down here. So I'm basically alternating, starting down by the corner with a new panel and working upwards towards the edge of the shawl so that I'll have these kind of long paneled sections so that it's gonna turn out more like blocks of color instead of like little teeny tiny stripes. Was this the best yarn to do this with? Probably not. It probably would have looked better if I was alternating colors for the sections. I think this could be really cool to do 3 different solid colors and it would end up looking like a braid going down the spine. Actually, that's really cool. I should do that. I don't know if I have any yarns right now where that would work out well, but maybe that'll be what I look for next time I go yarn shopping, is 3 yarns to do a shawl with like that. I think that would be really pretty. Or, I could look in my stash because I probably have something down in those cabinets that I could do with that. But I like that this is all in garter stitch, so it feels very easy, but the visual interest of it is enough to kind of like keep me going. I worked on this at a student volleyball game last week and got a significant amount done while watching a volleyball game, so I was pretty impressed with myself for that. I am working it on pretty small needles. These are 3mm, I want to say. Well, let's look without pulling the needle out of the project. 3.25mm. And this yarn is a 3-weight, I believe, or it was listed as a 3-weight. It feels pretty thin. Nope, it's a 2-weight, so that's why it feels thin for a 3-weight, because it's not. It's a 2-weight. But I really liked this yarn when I saw it at Joann. I'm kind of wishing I also got it in one of the brighter colors, and not just the fall one, but I also did not really need more than that. The fact that I got 3 skeins of that is probably enough. So yeah, that's going to be it for this podcast. Make sure that you stay tuned next week for a cowl tutorial that you can use with all of your yarn scraps for Advent. And if you liked what you saw today, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. If you'd like to follow me on other social media sites, that information will be in the description box below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone!